was kind of the best and worst thing I'd ever done, and ended up selling out to him. I'm definitely not afraid of somebody copying us and beating us. If they do, good on them. I moved to a state where I didn't know a single person and I started from scratch. It's typically what I call a material handling problem. Like they got to move it from here to here and they can't
Yeah.
figure out how to do that effectively. And that's kind of our engineering expertise, if you will.
Most people think manufacturing's dirty, boring, or dying. They're dead wrong. This is Manufacturing Runs the World. We're here to fix the misconceptions, teaching the next generation how modern manufacturing really works and why it matters more than ever.
Well, thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem.
Yeah, I've just been kind of going through LinkedIn and social media and checking out all your videos and stuff. You're pretty prolific online there.
Okay. Yeah, we're trying. We're trying to expand that. We're trying to be more prolific. So,
Yeah, the early 2000s, and I think manufacturing was sold to me. It had a branding problem back then, so I think if it was what it was now, I would be in manufacturing.
yeah, I think it still has a branding problem personally. Like, I think it's just been part of the challenge that we face kind of constantly. We put the marketing stuff and, the Instagram and whatnot, like at least 50% to attract talent
Yeah,
and to like show that like this is not your dad's fab shop.
right. That makes sense. I got to think though, as some of these new fabrication shops are coming up, that has some social credibility. Well, let's back up a little bit. I mean, you used to have Hester Engineering, or was it
Yeah,
Hester?
Hester fabrication. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, now you have APE American or American Precision.
Yeah, American Precision. Yeah, so we go by APE mostly. So American Precision Engineering, which is APE. Our URL like gets us the name APE American, but like that's kind of was because there was no good URLs left that we could find. So
Is it just a rebrand of your original fabrication shop, or are you?
no, I sold that company. I started that in a garage and then kind of built that up to, ISO 9001 and doing work for Apple and Google and Tesla and Lawrence Livermore National Lab and real high-end stuff. And then I just had to get out of California. So I sold that business. At some point I brought on a partner and it was kind of the best and worst thing I'd ever done and learned a lot of lessons there. So I ended up selling out to him so I could leave and start this here. I started from scratch again. I kind of had the arrogance of somebody who had done it already and thought, well, how hard could this be to do again? So I moved to a state where I didn't know a single person and leased the building and started buying tools and hiring people and trying to find customers. So it
Yeah.
was very tumultuous 5 years. I took a lot of lessons away from the first company that, like was very intentional the way I did the second. I don't think I have a third in me. I think I've got too many gray hairs from doing it twice, but
Yeah.
it was one of the intentional things was to be more intentional and purposeful about the marketing and the branding aspect of it. I think the first company, a fabrication company that got the work we did because we also engineered.
Uh-huh.
Whereas here we try to focus on engineering and we kind of get the work we do because we also can build it. So it's kind of the same coin. We're just looking at it from the other side. But again, that why it doesn't say American Precision Manufacturing or, fabrication or machining, it's engineering. We really want the business to be focused there. And that's kind of the niche that we pursue in our sales efforts.
Yeah. Well, I think the branding is brilliant. You've done a good job behind that. I don't know if that's all you or you're working with a marketing or branding company, but
I did it first. I had the original idea. Like I always tell people, like, don't bring me your ideas because I'm the idea world champion, because I have like, I'm very hyper and just that, it's something I think a lot of business owners just are constantly thinking about all the time. I had the idea and then I hired kind of like I guess they did some branding. They were more like the art. Like I would have the concept, but these guys were amazing at just like kind of putting it to paper and turning the imagery to something. We do like a ton of stickers and t-shirts and things like that we just use to promote. Like every one of our shipments goes out with that stuff.
yeah. Yeah.
And so like big name companies will call and like some engineer there will be like, hey, I placed the order, but I'm a size large. Could you send a t-shirt? This, and we've had, companies like Tesla where the entire like groups, like the superintendent or whatever wanted our shirts for like his whole crew, because they're
Yeah.
just like cool shirts. It has worked well when you go somewhere on a site visit and you see people wearing your stuff. So
Yeah. How big is your shop now? You've done this a second time. How big have you grown it?
yeah, so right now we kind of always hover around a dozen folks, plus or minus. We're trying to get to, in the next few years up to about 2 dozen. This like cliche, but like we're kind of like the special forces of manufacturing. We're not the infantry, some jobs that require massive amounts of people. Like we're not a good fit for that. We're kind of we go after the projects that everybody else is afraid of trying. And we're the ones that are like dumb enough to say yes to. So we need to be very fast. And at some size, that speed is just not attainable. So we're trying to get to about 24 folks. We're in a building about 10,000, soon to be about 12,000 square feet of manufacturing space. We're pretty small, but we're like, you'd be impressed at how much stuff we cram in this space.
No, I believe it. Well, you mentioned you take on a lot of projects that most people won't. Is there like a crazy project story you have?
We can't say specifically who it is, but like a tier one special operations unit. Like we get a lot of calls that will, oh, it's from the military, and you realize it's like some third tier supplier that wants some like part they don't even know what it is. And the guy said he was, it was a military thing, and he said he couldn't describe it. And we're gonna fly out there because I can't email anything. I'm gonna fly out there. So these guys fly out. I still thought, I was like, yeah, right, whatever. This seems like a hoax or something. And
Yeah.
these guys show up. I had to sign a bunch of stuff, and they kind of at first they kind of go through the whole business of what we're doing, and then they show me what they want to do, and they ask if we could build it. And I was like, heck yeah, man, we could build that. So yeah, it's like airdrop platform. We can say that, but basically, just think of some kind of cutting edge stuff for spec ops to come here, and they had just like been calling around, and our name had come up a few times as they were calling around. So again, back to that kind of marketing effort and
Yeah.
sort of grassroots, like people had heard of us. So that was a project. We designed it for close to a year, all the engineering analysis, and we had to do a bunch of testing in-house, kind of got run through the rigor military testing, and we're actually going to do a static test with it. That was an exciting one. We do a lot of cool manufacturing projects. We've made machines to put wings on airplanes. I think of just any advanced manufacturer, rocket companies, automotive companies it's typically what I call a material handling problem. Like they got to move it from here to here, and they can't figure out how to do that effectively. And that's kind of our engineering expertise, if you will.
Well, so that being said, have you had problems finding other engineer and manufacturing hybrid? It seems like that you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we ask an absolute ton from our engineers. So, like, we're looking for people that can design something that a computer functions and calculates out exactly how it needs to be. But more importantly, we can go out there and build it. I think that's the big thing that most engineers miss. So, engineers that work here have to know how to fabricate, how to machine, maybe not like at a journeyman level, but they need to understand it at a very high level. So, had people that didn't work out that, might have had 10 years experience designing at a big shop. They never saw the end product through. They just passed that design off to somebody else. They don't even know if it was good or bad. The person they handed off to them never gave them the feedback. We really stress when we hire those engineers, like every mistake you make will be known. It will be obvious to you. It'll be obvious to everybody. Everyone will know it was your mistake. And if you're good at taking that feedback loop is very fast. So you're going to gain a lot of experience really quick. But if you really uncomfortable with failure, you're not going to last very long here because there's just too many failures. We're kind of pushing the boundaries of things constantly. We're experimenting with things we've never designed constantly. The engineers we have now are like savages. I would put them up against anybody. We work with a lot of good engineers at companies, but our engineers would run circles. Like they would do on a Tuesday morning what someone at a big company would do in 2 weeks. Like I truly believe that. They're hard to find though. Pulled them from other states. Like we kind of search far and wide for that.
Obviously, there's a new wave of kind of automation and robotics coming around. Is that pertinent to a fabrication shop like yourself?
First, I was very apprehensive about it. We bought a robot welder, a cobot welder, maybe 3 years ago. It was just this job. It had a ton of welding on these like shoebox sized parts. So we bought this thing, kind of paid itself off, honestly, on the first project. It was a decent sized project. I mean, I can hear it running in the background right now. Like it was something I never desired to get it. Like I just never saw it as important for a shop like us, but it's been a tool that we can leverage. A lot of these more complex jobs, it's very lumpy. It's not like, hey, we're always making the same widget. Sometimes we're working 712s. So being able to do some quasi production or production work with a cobot welder has helped. And the technology on those is so easy to program. You don't need that big a production run to make it work. Anyway, now I'm just like trying to leverage what we can do. Just a limited amount of talented people that do what we need it to be done. So I want people working on their highest and best use. And that's not sanding parts. If I can buy a machine to sand parts and this guy can go TIG weld, like let's keep him TIG welding. Obviously with AI taking most of the world by storm, we haven't found any like super impactful way that we incorporated that, but we definitely use it for our marketing effort and just like internal office stuff, like engineering help. Like we use, chat, GBT and stuff like that. We're definitely embracing technology, automation, AI in any possible way we can.
Yeah, and I think it's super cool that you kind of share your internal processes all through your social media channels, which I think some companies try to hold that close, like that's their
Yeah.
special
Yeah.
sauce that they don't want to give away.
I certainly have always felt that like, you can go to a fancy restaurant, ask the chef, what's in the soup, and he's going to tell you, you're
Yeah,
not going to go home and make that soup.
right.
So if somebody can take what they got from us and beat us at it, like good on them, they beat us. Like that's awesome. Like I'm a very competitive person. When I see somebody doing something better than me, like it definitely inspires me to try to like step up and elevate my game. When I put something out there and people comment on it, like I'll get some really good, like, oh man, I hadn't even thought about that. That's awesome. I enjoy sharing what we do. And I think it's a good conversation as an industry to have to start attracting better talent. I think right now we have all these conversations about like bringing manufacturing back, but it's like, okay, who's going to do these jobs
Right.
that are
Exactly.
supposedly coming back? We have to make this something that's like not in a black box. We have to showcase this technology and these operational processes, these mindsets that we have, because I think manufacturing is an amazing industry to be in. Like we talked about at the beginning, it's still got a branding problem. Anybody in manufacturing to participate to change that whatever way possible. If that's us sharing some internal processes, like I'm definitely not afraid of somebody copying us and beating us. If they do, good on them.
That's an awesome attitude to have. Not everyone is doing that. I think manufacturing in the US is bringing it back is probably a lot more tech heavy, right? Design, engineering, and tech heavy. Is there anything you want to say about APE?
APE is sort of like fractional skunk works for all these, big manufacturing companies that have kind of gotten too big, fast, and nimble. So we kind of serve as that. All these companies that we work for can technically do what we do, but there's a reason that they have us do it, and it's that speed and quality. We work really hard to every day be better and faster. Manufacturing as a whole needs to step up the game and operate with a lot more efficiency and kind of coolness factor to attract.
Appreciate the time. Love to stay in touch. I'll talk to you later.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Daniel. Bye.
Yeah.